All right. Well, hi, Bonnie.
Hello, Alli, and hello to all of our TDF viewers. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Bonnie Milligan. I play Debra in our show, Kimberly Akimbo. I am a plus size white woman with blonde hair it's kind of straightened today, with a little bit of curl, red lips, and I'm in a white room with a New York poster behind me. Oh, and
Hi,
I use
TDF.
she, her pronouns.
Hi, TDF. I am Alli Mauzey, she, her. Um, I have brown hair. I'm sitting in my dressing room right now, actually at the theater at the booth where we're playing. I've got light blue walls behind me. I'm in a gray chair and a black turtleneck shirt, brown eyes. I play Pattie in our musical Kimberly Akimbo by Lindsay-Abaire and Jeanine Tesori. Pattie is the mother of the title character, a teenager with a chronic aging disease. And it's probably fair to say that, Bonnie, you play.
And I play her sister.
The scam artist
I play
sister.
I play Patty's con artist, fun-loving sister.
Yeah. So, gosh, okay. So we'll
All right,
just
let's
kind of
jump
get
into these questions.
great. You want to go? You want to start? I'll ask
Sure,
you.
why not?
Okay. Okay, great.
Kimberly Akimbo runs the gamut from outrageous to affecting, hilarious to heartwarming. What was your initial reaction when you read the script?
Okay. I have to say, when I first read a script, it was for my very first audition. And it was actually, I was not given the script of the musical yet. I was given the script of the play that Lindsay-Abaire wrote, also called Kimberly Akimbo. And I actually had to learn a little slice of that for my audition. So I read the play first, and I definitely, this doesn't happen often, I'm reading something and I cackle out loud. I cackled out loud multiple times. And then when I got to do the workshop of Kimberly Akimbo, and that script combined with Jeanine Tesori's music and the lyrics that David wrote for that, I felt a depth, a well of so many emotions. Not just the laughter, which still existed for me, but like there's so much heart in it. And I basically, I laughed, I cried, I felt it all very deeply. And I was like, gosh, I hope when we do this that the audience feels the same way, because that's how I responded to it. How about you?
I auditioned later than Alli. I had I auditioned at the beginning of the pandemic, and I also was only given a script of the play to read. And I thought it was so funny and shocking in a lot of areas. And I was really excited that they were going to ask me to audition for Debra, because I just thought she was so daring and crazy, and that was going to be really fun. And then by the time, so they sent that out first as like would you be interested in auditioning for this? And I said yes. And so then a few weeks later, they sent me the material, which was still, they attached the play still. There was no like musical script for me to read, but I had the first scene in the library that I do with Kim and Seth. And then I had Better that I had to learn. So those were the only two parts of the musical I knew. I didn't know how many people were in it. I didn't know what else happened, how the music sounded. I had no idea until we got into rehearsals. And I remember it was honestly the first read through, sing through that we had that first week, where I could hear how the rest of the music sounded. And I was just like overwhelmed, because Better is pretty comedic, to feel that deep, sincere heart matched with that like incredible comedy. I was like, wow, this is really good. So that's how I felt.
Can I say something about not sort of not sort of knowing what you were getting into, because we didn't get to see the script till later. I don't think any of us knew that we were going to be ice skating. Right?
No, none of us did. None of us did. We found out. Well, I got I sent a self-tape, like, where you audition yourself on tape, and I sent it in, and I got the job, but I never had a callback. I never met with Jess Stone, our director. I never met with anybody. And so it was, my agent was like, can you do a Zoom with Jessica Stone and just to meet, before rehearsal start. And I was like, yeah. And it was, I think, a month before is when she told me, oh, and by the way, we're going to be ice skating. I was like, oh no.
I didn't know it until my agent called and wanted to know my shoe size for ice skates, and I was like, wait, what?
You're like, once more. And I said, that's when I told her, I was like, I wish my friends were on the Zoom so you could see their faces react to that information, because I'm the biggest klutz you've ever met in your life. And this is a terrible idea, but I'm happy to join skate, because we started with ice skating camp like a week before, like what was it, like 2 weeks before rehearsal started for the Atlantic. And I did 2 days before they were like, let's just write you out of this.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. I guess it didn't really matter. We didn't have to be good, and not everybody had to ice skate. So
It's true. It's true.
okay, Kimberly Akimbo earned rave reviews last year at Atlantic Theater Company. How has the show evolved in its move to Broadway?
Well, I think along those lines of how I experienced the show, like deepening with the music, I think it deepened. You can speak more to this when it comes to like your character, but for at least from what I felt around us, they really wanted to center Kim's agency a little bit more, and give her more of a say in how her life was going. She not to be passive, but to really make choices. And that was fun for my character because I got a partner, as to where at the Atlantic, it was still like trying to talk people into my scheme. And this go round, Kim and Deb really kind of become partners. And that's really fun to play with. My relationships with the kids all changed a little bit. People were tweaked here and there. And how everybody feels, that it just feels so real and deep. And I know you have more specifics about that.
Yeah, I think the role of both parents got worked on a little bit. For lack of a better word, I think the parents at the Atlantic, what we learned seemed, at least Pattie, I can't really speak for Buddy, but Kim's dad, but I think for Pattie, like, some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth towards Kim can just sound just flat out mean, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, Pattie loves her daughter dearly. And I think she just sometimes has a real funny way of showing it, and dealing with the life circumstances of Kim having this fatal disease.
Yeah.
And so I think like when we moved it to Broadway, I can tell that Jess Stone and David Lindsay-Abaire and Jeanine really finessed the characters of the parents. So I think you get where they're coming from a little bit more, and you see that love for Kim, and it almost makes it like harder. I think more people might be walking away now, getting the parents and caring for it, and you're like, gosh, this is hard, but like I especially I guess if you're a parent, like I kind of get it. Like the circumstances are tough, So that's like, it's kind of like, it's not more fun or less fun, but like I feel like the audience is enjoying Pattie a little bit more than maybe they were able to at the Atlantic. That's what it feels like anyway. I mean, as far as like the whole show goes, I mean, having a bigger stage now, we get to ice skate in a bigger. We get to like actually frame the ice skating rink more than we were able to at the Atlantic, and I think that's pretty cool and helpful. And we everything got fine tuned, but we got one rewrite. We got one new song, right? Just the one new song that ended.
Yeah, the end of Act One. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will say, with what you were saying, a friend of mine I remember who saw it, I think 3 times at the Atlantic, Natalie, who loves our show. And the first time, and she's come a couple times on Broadway, the first time she saw it, she was so incredibly moved by this shift in the parents, because she said, honestly, I saw it so many times, but this time I walked away really hearing that they were teen parents, that this happened to them in high school, and they're not educated, they're not wealthy, they're doing the best they can in a broken circumstance in so many ways. And she's like, and I truly felt this like devastation and not having any ability to cope with the fact that this daughter they love is dying. So they go into, you know, either a drink or narcissistic, like Munchausen situation. So it's like, yeah. Anyway, that 100% what you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because of the title's character's unnamed aging disease, she learns to seize every day. Has working on the show affected your view of mortality?
Oh, affected my view of mortality. I mean, it definitely. I guess it. Yes, seize the day. I channel that into my relationships. That's the main thing. And like the people who matter to me the most, whether it's my son, my husband, my extended family, my friends, my Bonnie who I work with. I'm just like, it's really important to me when I think of like, oh gosh, I don't get to live on earth forever. I really want people who mean a lot to me to know that I care for them. So I'm maybe more verbal about those things. In the view of like being a mom myself and I tell you what, playing Patty, it's like, this is like losing a child before myself is like one of my biggest fears. So I definitely know I go home at night and before I go to bed, and I hit that pillow pretty fast when I get home because I got to be a mom the next morning. But like I go into my kid's room, no matter how tired I am, and I put my hand on his chest and I kiss his head, which he really only lets me do when he's sleeping anyway. But like I hear him breathe, and I need that at night after like Patty's journey, just to hear my kid breathe and see him breathe in the most innocent way. I'm sorry, but I'm so appreciative of it. And I've always been like, look, I chose to be a mom, and I'm so grateful who I got as a kid, But I think like just the stuff I kind of have to tackle in this play.
Yeah.
It's some big stuff,
It's a lot.
So,
yeah.
I feel how about you, Bonnie? You had some stuff going into.
Yeah, I think I've been dealing with mortality right before this show. I lost my dad at the beginning of the pandemic, and I had just gone through this experience of being in the hospital and watching someone in the last days of their life who didn't want it to be their last days of their life. And I experienced that, and I remember because you were right there. 3 weeks into the rehearsal, we were rehearsing the one of the scenes. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who maybe hasn't seen the show yet. And I kind of realized, what show we were doing, and realizing I literally just spent so much of my time with a parent who was at the end of their life and trying to make jokes around things and trying to make light. And that what's so beautiful about the show is that it is life. Life is funny and devastating and hopeful. And when you've lost all hope, and it's all these things all at once, it's never just one thing. Mm-hmm. And so I remember it struck me, and Alli, you were the one who like saw me. Well, Vicky saw it across the room. She's like, did I trigger something? I was like, yeah, that's okay. And I turned, and Alli was right there. And she was like, do you need Kleenex? And I was like, I think so. And it was like on the table behind her. And then as I got it, I turned, and Jess, our director, came up, and she was like, do you want a minute? And I said, I think so. And I had to like go in a bathroom and cry for like 5 solid minutes, because mortality is something that I sadly had to face very directly. And then I was with my mom during the pandemic, and then my stepdad got cancer, and it was just like, I'm in my 30s, and you sit there and you're like, what's happening? Why is everybody going away? I'm not ready to deal with this. But I think during the pandemic, everybody lost something. The world stopped. And whether it was a human, whether it was your job, whether it was just normality, that we were confronted with, maybe not everything is forever. And so I have tried to take that, I think, into life in general. Every time we perform the show, I feel like I used to always be so worried about like, well, how big are our audiences, or how big are this? And I'm truly people, ask me how I'm feeling, and I just am doing all I can to just live in the moment every day. And every time we're on that stage and we sing, in the end, like, you never know, and nor do I, when we will have to say goodbye. So just enjoy the time is something that I really take to heart, and focus my joy into that. And sometimes it's really hard, like you said, the subject matter. Sometimes it's hard to kick, even though I can be like the quote unquote comic relief of things. It hits so close to home with so much I've experienced grief wise that sometimes that's really hard to shake. And so what I've had to do is reach out to like really close friends and say like, wow, I'm just like, so unbelievably sad. And I'm also happy because this beautiful thing is in my life. But like the show, both can exist, and you have to, I think, acknowledge both. So,
I know. That well of emotion you're talking about, like on the flip side with some of that sadness, like I just have like this depth of gratitude.
Yes.
So for this relationship, for my people in my life outside of work too, because I'm like, because of that seize the day attitude. I'm just like, look at what I have,
Exactly.
Grateful.
Yeah. Ooh. Have there been any onstage mishaps, ice skating or otherwise?
Well, let me first start by saying this. One of the first things they taught us in skate camp is how to fall. So
because they're like, you're going to.
You're going to fall.
Here's how you fall.
So, which was great for most of us who have not ice skated all that much. So let's see. So far here on Broadway, we've had one actress fall. And it's like, there were two.
Michael fell too.
During a live audience?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I missed that one. I can't always see. I just saw the one where Nina fell. But Nina was so adorable because like she fell and she was laughing in a way that I was like, oh my God, she's like just going with it. And she's like pretending to like laugh. But then we get to the next section where they're supposed to sing and she's cutting in and out of her vocals because she's genuinely just laughing at herself. Because like you gotta figure like when you fall in front of a bunch of people like that, it's kind of like wah wah. Like
yeah, and you're playing a teenager, you would be like
yeah. But thankfully, like that was part of skate training. We learned how to fall. You want to like fall with all that extra padding you have, like towards your hip, like on the behind and this way and not on your wrist. And then they teach you how to get up on your skates. So I feel like we were kind of like we were prepped for that too because it is just part of it.
And one night, I don't ice skate, but I fell walking backwards with my mailbox. And and I don't even know why or like what happened, just like happened. And I was center stage. Someone's like, oh, did anybody see it? And I was like, yeah, the whole audience, because I was absolutely dead center. And Alli hadn't said her line yet. Like, what is that?
Yeah. Oh, right.
And so I fell, and the first thing I could think was like, because I don't want people to be like worried for me. So I just was like, don't get up.
I know. It was very character.
We just used it in a different way. It was really fun. To the point where our stage manager, Arabella, literally asked me afterwards, did you add a bit? I was like, no, I fell.
Genuinely fell.
Well, because the line, I wasn't sure if I was like, oh, no, I was just trying to cover. So anyway.
Yeah. I remember that. That was a good cover. It was very quick. It was very quick, Bonnie.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, let me take a sip.
Take a sip.
Okay. Your characters are hilarious in their dysfunction. What's your favorite moment to perform?
Do you know? I got to think about mine.
My favorite moment to perform. I think my favorite moment I love that first family scene where it's just me and Bonnie and Steve because we're slowly piecing the family together, including you when you come in later, and so I feel like that family dynamic at home is really important after we kind of got some information about Kim and stuff, and then we meet the mom and it's like piecing these together and what that tone is, and being with those two actors and the pace of it. It's a really fun way to get to start the show. as an actor. I think that's like it's a lot of fun. I wish I could say the dinner table scene was fun because I love being in that scene with all of you. But I kid you not when I say whenever there's a silence in that scene, my stomach drops and I think I dropped a line every night somewhere. I'm like, it's me. So I just like I'm never quite.
That's so funny.
Even though I love,
that's one of my favorite things to do is the dinner table scene.
because I love being in with you guys.
Sometimes it's hard for me. What I love about it is that like it's like the four of us getting to sit there together.
Yeah.
What's hard for me is Alli Mauzey makes me laugh like more than anybody.
Well, and then I laugh because you laugh, and that makes me happy. So
and I love it, but it's also a challenge because I'm like, I can't lose it because I have to build into a blow up that results in like major information being released that has to. But like, I also love, honestly, like when things are happening that are so ridiculous, it's like the part of me like is really enjoying it. And then it's like a challenge to like, no, keep it in. But I just love like the four of us being there together. And I don't often get to like get like mad in shows. I feel like usually I'm like comedy on the side. And so if there's something kind of cathartic and like yelling with Steve and you know what I mean? Like there's something like there's such a release and like it's such a real dynamic of these family members that it's like very satisfying to kind of sink into. And I think so much information is said about our characters in that scene, even if you can't hear us, the way we relate to each other and how we do it. David Lindsay-Abaire is a genius writer. It's perfect. And I also just have the most fun in that first scene when I'm just messing with Seth and Kim. Because
Audience has so much fun watching you do that too.
Justin Billy has the sweetest face, and it is hilarious to try to throw him. And Vicky being horrified, you know what I mean? And just being like, I'm playing. You know, it's so fun. And it's my first gauge of the audience, how they're going to deal with Debra. Because, y'all, she's going to do this the whole time. So be prepared. So those are my two favorite things. Yeah.
I love how much I get to curse in the show. I love how much I get to just like curse because like I'm mindful of it in everyday life for myself. But I swear, like even when I walk through the stage door, I'm like ready to curse. Alli is like ready to curse. It is like it feels so good. It's just like I don't know. It's like freeing. It's like kind of what you were saying, like cathartic in some way. Some of the stuff you get to do. I'm just like I am loving the curse words that David Lindsay-Abaire gave Patty. It's fun. Yeah. It's just fun.
I love it. What's it like being part of a cast that spans 3 generations?
Well, I had a moment the other day. I was sitting with Steve Boyer, and we are of the same age. And I said something aloud, and I think it was a musician or something like that. Some old like football halftime show that I had come across on YouTube. And he immediately knew what I was talking about. And I was like, oh, I feel so seen right now because there are times now in this cast with the ones below us being so much younger that I was like, oh, I could say something and I don't feel heard or seen. They literally don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that's a funny place to be at in my life. That feels like a new thing, you know? But I love the energy of all these kids in the show, especially making their Broadway debut because it makes me reflect on my own journey with it and what a joy that was for me. And I'm just so dang happy for them. And I'm just so the spirit of that, like, it's exciting to me. I'm excited for them. It's like it lifts my spirits often, you know?
Yes. I agree. I mean, it's funny. I feel like I'm usually always playing younger than I am, and to like sort of like be playing someone my age, and then to have so many people younger than me and older than me. I'm truly like the middle child of the cast. I'm the middle child in my like family of all the grandkids. Like the next oldest is 5 years older, and the next youngest is 4 years younger. So I was truly like this like kid in the middle that either hung with the older kids or hung with the younger kids. And that is so funny. I'm literally just now realizing that as we speak. But like I'm very used to that dynamic. And we have Vicky, but Vicky is so young. You know what I mean?
Yeah, her spirit is so young and she's so like everything about her is still very youthful. to me. Not just the character she's playing. You know, she's in incredible shape, and her spirit is young. You know, but she's also that person you can go to who's been around. You know, and you can be like, whatever, I'm tired today, or I'm going through this. And, but she's been so good. Like, she would go have lunches with all the teenagers, you know, and I mean, as she should, but like, it's just like, she just slides into all of it.
And she was very like, I know, like early on, especially the Atlantic, you know, she definitely wanted to like go eat with the kids.
Yeah.
And be like, well, I need to, because, you know, we're all playing buddies, and like, I want to have that. Or I just remember we were, even like the first week for Broadway, it was our like pre-week when we were going to do another skate week rehearsal, where we were figuring out the new Act 1 closer. So we worked on a week of that, and then had a couple weeks off before we officially started Broadway. And it was during that week we were just learning the new music, and I had been sitting next to Vicky, and we went on break, and we came back, and she's like, I'm gonna move. I was like, oh wow, you don't want to be by me anymore? She's like, well, I just want to mix it up. Like, I don't want us to be like the adults versus this. I just feel like everybody should feel just like important and equal. And I was just like, and that's never been the vibe in our room. We've never done that, but it's just, that is why, because she's our leader, and everybody's on the same footing. You might, Justin, you're 18, you're my scene partner. I respect you as like, that's how she has always treated everybody. Yeah. And she's a literal Tony Award winning star, who I've admired for so many years. And so her generosity of spirit and who she is as a human has been a beautiful way to sort of lead the room. And so what's beautiful about the 3 generations is that we're all buddies. We're all friends. And so it's nice to sometimes get the perspective of somebody, you know, over 10 years younger than you, or 5 years older, or 20. You know what I mean? That it's just like, we're all doing this show together. So I love it. I think it's great. And I think that's why so many audience members can relate too, because you can see yourself in so many ways on the stage.
Very true. You know, I tend to get this side of stuff where just like parents who like get it.
Yeah. This is a good segue. What's your best Victoria Clark story?
My best? Well, let me tell you something about Victoria Clark. Vicky and I had studied with the same voice teacher for years. Yeah, for years. His name is Edward Sayeg. And for years. So I knew Vicky Clark. I didn't know her personally, but I just knew her through that. And so when I was on the road very, very early, like my first like equity gig was Hairspray the Musical, and I went on tour with it, and we were going through Chicago at the same time that the Light in the Piazza was doing their sit down run in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so my voice teacher had reached out to Vicky, because I was like young and new, and asked if because I was going to go see a matinee, and asked if Vicky wouldn't mind meeting me and such. And so after the show, like, I was definitely intimidated. And she came out to the lobby, and we'd never met before. She was so gracious, because I look back at that time and I was like, I was really shy about it, and I didn't know what to say. And I was probably, I've talked about this with Vicky since then, because it's been a lot of years, but I said, was I like not friendly? I was just like so in awe of what you were doing, and that you were saying hi to me. And I remember her just getting ready for her dinner break. It was in between shows. She was tying her shoes, and she was just being Vicky and talking about her show a little bit, and definitely filling the gaps of silence, because I was no help. I even look back now and I was like, I hope I at least told her she was good, because I was like, she was good.
So nervous. Yeah.
But she was just so gracious, and that she took the time to do that to somebody, you know, she didn't know.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, I guess, in this, what's funny is when I first met Vicky, she came to, I did a show at City Center, Promenade, and she came with a friend, and she knew some people in the cast. So, you know, she was backstage, and I was like, oh, that's Victoria Clark. You know, and she came over to me to meet me, you know, and she was just like, hi, I'm Vicky. And it was just like, Vicky, right away. And I was like, oh, hi. And it was just lovely. It was quick. And I left, and it was very hot that summer. But I have the video. I think I posted it on her birthday this year, where I went to Instagram, and I just made a video. I was like, I just think it's important that we note that I just met Vicky
Oh my
Clark.
gosh.
And I just want to sit in that for a minute. And I literally am like, I just want to sit in that for a minute. Okay, that's all. Like, and it was literally just me being so excited to meet this amazing woman. I mean, I came to New York on a trip and I saw Light in the Piazza and I was like, what's happening? And then during tech for the Atlantic, at the end of my first number, I get Vicky to write y'all's address on my hand, so I can come to the house. And she would always just write random things on my hand while we were in tech, and we kind of sometimes, like, the music is going, so we have a moment to kind of talk if we want. We're usually in character. But she was like, I don't know. I don't remember the address. And I was like, Kim, come on. And we're just like improvising. It's like the music. And she's like, I don't remember. Okay. I got kicked in the head by a pony at a birthday party. And I lost it. That's like my favorite Vicky thing. I was like, how dare you? Because she's also just like so funny and she's got a little mischievousness to her. And I was like, luckily it was tech. I didn't have to like hold it together, but I was like, and I just said, how dare you? And then but it was good.
One of my favorite things about Vicky, when somebody goes up on a line, whether it's her, me, or anybody, and Vicky's the one that covers for it, she gets this energy about her, and she always probably says like 1 or 2 or 3 more words than she needs to. She covers great. She covers great. She had to cover for me the other night on something, and she got the right piece of information in. But I actually get joy out of watching her scramble. Yeah. It's really it's adorable, especially in the form of Kim, who's a teenager.
Yes. Yeah. We had that the top of Act 2 that somebody, she was like, I'm sorry, I really thought I said my line, and we were like waiting for it, and I'm like, okay, and then somebody else's cover was on and he thought it was him, so he jumped to his line, which we missed some information. So I was like, how do we get, so I'm sitting there going, how do we get back to it, because I'm answering this kid's question, but now I need this. And then Vicky circled us back and we're great. And then the next one thought he didn't have to say his line. We were just like, so it was me and Vicky like, how do we do this? It was like, but that's so right. Her energy is like, yeah, no, kids can't get in trouble. And she's like repeating my line.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I was finally like, okay, I'll just close this out. I'll just move on. Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you.
Okay.
The show is set in the 90s before cell phones. What do you miss most about that era?
Good Lord. I didn't get a cell phone till I was in college. I kind of like fought cell phones for a while. I feel like that's maybe when they came out. But some people got it by the time I was a freshman in college, they got it, but I didn't get it until I was 21. And I had a landline. I had a landline at my apartment and an answering machine. And I would have friends that would leave messages like, Bonnie, we're here. Get a cell phone. They would be so mad at me. But there was something so freeing about not being available to everyone at all times. And it was really on your schedule that if you're like, I knew everybody's numbers. I also, was young and I could tell you my entire schedule without writing it down. Mm-hmm. And I took so many classes, but I loved that the absence of social media, the absence of there's something in being a little more anonymous to the world, like what the world saw of me, I really chose for them to see. And it wasn't the world, it was just the people in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now I wasn't like a working actress then. So there are so many wonderful tools of social media that help us with our careers and help us connect with people. But there is something about that anonymity that I sometimes miss, or that just privacy. Sometimes I just need alone time to sort of decompress. I feel like I'm an extroverted introvert. You know what I mean? I'm both, but sometimes I wish it wasn't as easy for somebody to email me and my phone immediately tells me I've got an email. You used to have to go decide to check your mail. And there's pluses and minuses to it, but I think I do miss the simplicity of that.
Yeah. I know. I guess I remember talking about it in rehearsal one day when we were talking about how the kids say, hey, you want to go to Skater Planet tonight, right? Like, so back in the 90s, pre-cell phones, that would be the conversation, see you at 7 or whatever. And there's no texting in between. There's no like whatever in between.
No.
I have memories because I grew up in Anaheim, California. And like, so oftentimes after school, like on Fridays or something, it'll be like, meet you at the Wishing Well at Disneyland. And because we all had annual passes. And like, there wouldn't be communication until you get there. And so I don't know, I would walk in by myself. I was like, I hope people show up.
I hope the plan didn't change. Yeah.
Or I could stand there and get left there if like no one came that night and I couldn't be like, where are you? You know, like,
yeah.
But I also miss, so I don't know. So there was like an excitement when like somebody showed up and you're like, yeah, you know, like there's that. But I miss like when I was in high school, I lived close to my high school, but people just like would pop over from time to time out of the blue. There was no, and like you could kind of leave your door unlocked and just like someone could knock on your door, like, hey, oh, yay, come in, you know, like, and just like hang, and it was spontaneous in that way. I guess I miss some of that. And yeah, just to be able to like go home and turn things off. It's hard to be disciplined and turn the phone off, turn the technology off.
Very.
You know?
Yes, very.
That's why I used to love like going like camping or backpacking because it just forces you to just
unplug.
Shut it all down, you know?
Yeah. What's the best deal you ever got at the TKTS booth?
Best deal. I gotta tell you, I went to college at oh, what?
I was just gonna say, or most like memorable show you saw from the booth.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, having gone to college at NYU here in the city, I mean, one of the biggest perks for me being a theater student at NYU was getting to see a massive amount of theater.
Yeah.
And the TKTS booth was a great way and an affordable way to do that for a college student. And now that, you know, I have a little family, it's another great way to, you know, try to find a discount on some tickets. I remember like, and I went back like and saw things that had been running for years, like Phantom I had never seen. I remember getting a ticket. I saw the closing week of that original, the longest running show ever of A Chorus Line. I know. I had never seen it. No, not A Chorus Line, Cats. Not A Chorus Line, Cats.
Oh, yeah.
I had never seen Cats in any formation, and I got to see like that closing week of Cats. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like, you know what I'll say about that TKTS booth too, because I'll walk through there sometimes on my way to work, and I love the people who are kind of there, like kind of pitching shows and stuff like that around it. And so I had a friend of mine, and her daughter was staying with me at one point when I was doing Wicked on Broadway. And they had already seen Wicked, whatever. And so they were going to go to the TKTS booth to see like what they could get tickets for. And one of the people working outside the TKTS booth was like, oh gosh, like, what do you want to see? You should go see Wicked right now. And I don't tell this story to pump me up, by the way. There's an end to it. But she goes, they're like, you should go see Wicked. There's this Glinda in it right now, and she's really great. And my friend's daughter was like, wait, you mean like Alli Mauzey? She goes, I'm staying with her right now. We eat cereal at night. And the guy
is amazing.
And the guy kind of just went, what? Like, because she was just my friend. Right. And I think he was thrown off, and she was like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Like, I know, like, we eat cereal together. We had Cheerios last night.
You don't have to pitch me her.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I would say one of my most like memorable TKTS moments was probably one of the first times. Was it the first time we did the TKTS booth? I was a teenager, and my mom brought me into the city for my birthday to see Thoroughly Modern Millie, which is our Jeanine Tesori. Because I had gotten the album at Barnes & Noble, and I loved it because I was a big Julie Andrews fan. So I'd seen the movie, and I was so excited to hear, you know, this new Broadway musical based on this movie I loved. And I fell in love with it. And I had read some People magazine article that had Sutton Foster and her brother, Hunter Foster. And in it, they were talking about how they were both on Broadway, and he was doing Urinetown. And so all I knew was that we had tickets to Thoroughly Modern Millie, and that was it. And we had time for maybe other shows. And I feel like I told her I heard about this amazing thing, like the TKTS booth, and we should go there to get like discounted tickets. And I just remember that People magazine article, and they talked about, you know, how they then had lived in Michigan. I think they were originally Georgia, but Michigan at one point, and I was, you know, Ohio and Michigan at that point. And so we went to the TKTS booth and got tickets to You're in Town and tickets to Brian Stokes Mitchell in Man of La Mancha.
Oh, cool.
And those were the 3 shows we saw that weekend. And it was like, oh my God, that was the most magical booth of my life. Because, you know, I think while in line, it was honestly like the workers at TKTS who had recommended Man of La Mancha to us. Because all I knew is I wanted You're in Town because I saw that People magazine. I wanted to see your brother.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know. And the TKTS worker was so helpful, and they recommended, and it was like, you know, we were both crying. It was so beautiful. And just to be live and hear Brian Stokes Mitchell for the first time in my life, live, was unbelievable. Because I was like, oh yeah, he's on that album I like, Ragtime. You know what I mean? It's just like all this stuff. I only had limited knowledge from the Midwest, and I loved it. So that's probably my best TKTS memories. I think one of my first ones. And like, what a trip. Those 3 shows, glorious weekend.
Speaking of like Ragtime, because you brought up Brian Stokes Mitchell, it's like my favorite show. And when I was in high school, right outside Los Angeles, the tour of Ragtime, I don't remember if it was a sit-down production or a tour. If it was a tour, it sat in Los Angeles for a really long time.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we would cut, a couple friends of mine, we'd cut afternoon class and we'd second act the class of Ragtime. But do you know who was in that cast of Ragtime? LaChanze, who was a producer of the show. I saw her do, like when I was in high school, I saw her do Sarah and Ragtime so many times. Like that's one of those times I even told LaChanze that. Like,
that's amazing.
I know. And it's actually Ragtime is one of my favorite shows. But yeah, and I told LaChanze that, and I was like, I don't mean to fangirl, but like I saw you were so good in Ragtime, and I saw you, I can't even count how many times I saw you do it.
I love that.
Yeah. Last question, Bonnie.
Oh
Are you good? Okay, ready?
All right.
Okay. Be each other's casting directors. What role would you put the other in?
Oh, I
Wait.
want to see Alli and Mauzey do everything. But have you ever done Cunegonde and Candide?
I never played the part, but I definitely have sung Glitter and Be Gay. It was like my college audition song was Glitter and Be Gay. I love singing that song, but I've never played it.
Also, you're such like a brilliant lyric soprano and also a comedian. And I'm like, those are the 2 things I want to see married. And I'm like, a lot of the times I feel like the classical soprano stuff that like I wouldn't sound so good singing, and you would sound glorious, are sometimes kind of dull, you know, like
I know.
And it's like old school. She's just pretty and sings nice, but like, so also maybe just like to see your take on anything, like you could flip it on its head would be really fun. But I mean, I would love that. Frankly, I think your Debra would be really funny.
Yeah, you should definitely mention that you and I have been like in a dream world. We get to like swap roles like once or twice a week, just like do like an.
We little foxes, Kimberly Akimbo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, clearly we're Linny and Nixon. Hello. And I think you'd be great. Oh God, you'd be great in Mame. You'd be great in any of those roles. Your Gooch would be hilarious. Also, I think you could give me a really great Mame. I would follow you.
I've never seen that show. I just know some of the old like audition songs from like the Singers Anthology.
Yeah. Also, you'd be a really great Drowsy Chaperone.
I never saw the Drowsy Chaperone. I know, I missed that.
You're not quite old enough yet, but like give me 10 years, give me Drowsy Chaperone. Yeah. Also, your Love It would be amazing. And oh my God.
My agent, because now she's just like mentioning all the shows.
I'm just like, no, I want you to do that. I want you to do that. Yeah, no, I do want you to do that. Yeah, I want you to do all the things.
If I'm casting you and stuff that's currently playing right now, I'm like dying to see you play Elphaba.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow. And I would kill to see you as Fanny Bryce.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think like, and that I'm like, it's hard for me. It's like hard to pigeonhole you into like roles that already exist, because I just think you're also like somebody like when you give somebody like you an original part, you're gonna make it like magical. So like both of them, just like
Gotcha.
what new show can we put Bonnie Milligan in? Like what haven't we seen her do? Like what do we get to see her? Like what do we get to see her creative brain like come up with this time and surprise us? Just like that fancy new thing. Like someone needs to just like write Bonnie Milligan. Like many people.
Can they also put Alli Mauzey in it and then have us just always be at shows together? Yeah. Appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks, yeah, I know. I guess I'm just thinking of like current. If I were to put like tomorrow, I want to see you play Alpha, and tomorrow I want to see Fanny Bryce for sure. And I know you've sung some of those songs like in concerts and stuff. But
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But I don't know. I would just like to see your take on all of them, and like especially Fanny Bryce, like that combo of like the voice, like you singing that stuff with like the humor. I think would be like really, really, really cool.
But we did it.
We did it. We made it. We're still here.
Easy.
Thanks for having us, TDF.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for everybody who's watching. And if you haven't already gotten your tickets, get your tickets to Kimberly
Yes,
Akimbo.
we'll be at the booth. We are at the booth. Kimberly Akimbo, the musical.
And if you already saw it, come back now that you have some insider information from us. I'm just saying, we're a good time.
We're good times.